Welcome to this tutorial. I aim to provide an introduction to evaluating research methods in order to gain you the higher marks in your exams. According to the specification, students should be able to analyse and evaluate theories, concepts, evidence and research methods in order to present arguments, make judgments and draw conclusions. In this video, we're going to focus on the evaluate and the research methods part. You may be given an exam question which is asking you to evaluate the advantages or disadvantages of a method, like the example that is given here that was on paper 3 in 2018, where you were asked to evaluate the advantages of structured interviews in sociological research. So let's assume that you get something similar on observations. How would you go about answering this style of question? Breaking this question down, you'll need to ensure that you can demonstrate a range of strengths or advantages and state why sociologists would use this method. Give examples of studies that might have used them, which will hit the sociological research part of the question, and linking them to why they are useful. And finally, focusing on the main trigger word, evaluate, and make sure that you are evaluating these strengths as you go along. My biggest tip is to aim to evaluate as you go along rather than bolting on the weaknesses at the end. If you just do an opposing paragraph highlighting these weaknesses, this would be classed as juxtaposition and you'll probably find yourself in the mark band of about 12. So try to be specific for every point that you've made. And that just means any strengths that you give, your evaluation should link to that. So for this question, let's consider we have identified 4 key strengths. So how would we evaluate these specifically as we go along to avoid juxtaposition? So let's have a look at our first one. So according to interpretivists, the main strength of using observations is to gain validity, seeing the truth or the reality of real life. By observing people, you are gaining rich qualitative data. What people say they do and what they do is often very different. So by observing them directly does gain this valid data. However, positivists argue that observations are subjective, they're open to interpretation, and they prefer data that can be objectively measured and quantified. Secondly, when people know that they're being watched, they often change their behaviour. This is called the Hawthorne effect, which actually reduces the validity. And finally, a practical problem of using observations is that it's producing qualitative data, which is often time consuming to analyse. So at this point, you could suggest a way to overcome it. You could use a structured observation in order to make it quicker and quantifiable. Another major strength of using observations is flexibility. The researcher enters the observation with an open mind, not knowing what to expect. For example, White says, I learned answers to questions that I would not have had the sense to ask if I had been doing interviews. So this means that you can explore new areas as they arrive. However, this does create some problems. For example, without a fixed structure, this method is hard to replicate. It does lack a standardised procedure, which positivists would argue is highly unscientific. Our third strength is about covert observation, and going covert or undercover allows you to observe really hard to reach groups, your deviant, your criminal groups, and behaviour that people really do want to hide. Griffin, in his study Black Like Me, wanted to create an understanding of the experiences of Black Americans living in the southern states under racial segregation. Or you could use Patrick's study of the Glaswegian gangs, who are often quite violent. This ultimately overcomes the issue of the Hawthorne effect, where people change their behaviour where they know they're being watched. However, this poses some ethical issues, namely deception. You've not gained consent from the people that you're researching. It could also cause harm to the group that you've joined. They think that you're their friend. And if the research has to be stopped abruptly, like in the case of Patrick's research, there is no debriefing, there's no follow-up. Likewise, if you are observing deviant behaviour, for example, violence that is law breaking, well, what do you do with that knowledge? It's called guilty knowledge. And finally, due to the nature of this style of research, they tend to focus on one group or one setting, meaning it becomes a very small sample that does become hard to generalise. Another strength from our interpretivist is to gain insight, and this allows the researcher to gain a rapport and therefore verstehen, empathy, as you can put yourselves into another person's shoes over a period of time. Social action founding father Max Weber argued that the goal of sociology is to find the meanings behind the individual experience, and observation is a perfect way that you can do this. However, by immersing yourself in this type of research, it does create the flaw of going native when the researcher gets too involved. For example, the observer stops observing and stops noticing the behaviour that wasn't unique to that group, and they become fully immersed into that group. Secondly, you've got some practical issues of getting in the group, staying in the group, and then getting out. This becomes time consuming, and it does put an immense amount of pressure on the researcher. As a result, it is reliant on the researcher having the relevant skills and characteristics needed to be able to do this, to conduct this type of method. And finally, talking about our sociologist. Interpretivists argue that to achieve their goal of validity, observation is the best method. It gives a true picture of real life. Participating in the groups gives them a first-hand insight into the meanings behind behaviours. Now, positivists, on the other hand, they reject unstructured observations. They lack reliability, they're not standardised. However, they do favour a structured non-participant observation. By allocating standardised behaviour categories, you can measure trends, allows you to identify cause and effect, and this method is also quicker to conduct. But in this case, the participants usually know that they are being observed, so the likelihood of them changing the behaviour is often increased. So massive thank you for watching. Hopefully you'll find it useful. Click that like, share and subscribe.